Come on.
Coach, how you doing?
Hey, that's a year ago you said you're going to come to the Chicago Bears. You were right, huh?
I told you, Coach. I told you.
You did tell me. Tell your dad he's got a new golf partner.
He's right next to me. I'll tell him.
This is where everything began like a year ago. He hates when I made him wake up for 7 a.m. tea time. And I make him caddy, save daddy $60, you know, and I pay him like 40, and he thought I was cheap. And I think that was always fun for him to come to the club because there was always a potential to see either a Bulls player or a football player or someone.
Last summer, my dad was golfing up at Kemper Lakes, and Coach Flus was there, and I was at home.
He was sleeping that day and called him. I said, hey, Eberflus is here. Do you want to come up? He's like, Dad, I'm sleeping and I'm 40 minutes away. I'm like, get your over here, man.
So I drove 45 minutes and waited for him to finish up his round. I think maybe he was making the turn. I say, I'm Kiran, play at Yale. You know, next year you're going to be looking to draft me.
That was a summer that was really picking up that he was going to go to the NFL. I think he was still a little under the radar though. So I was just, again, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so wild that you saw a real NFL head coach. And this time next year you're going to be on an NFL team. Little did we know it was going to be on his team.
A lot of my cousins and my sisters say I manifested it for myself. Honestly, it's a dream come true.
It is actually crazy that at the end of the day, the odds that will happen was pretty crazy, and we are so blessed to be home, for him to be home, for him to be playing for the Bears, and for him to be right here representing the community that he grew up in.
So this is the football field where we had so many games, so many nice, good memories. Always there screaming, cheering on the boys.
My name is Ghislaine Wanja. I'm the mother of Kiran and Maïwen. I'm a mama bear. Oh, that's appropriate, a mama bear. Kiran was a very, very quiet child. Even from the womb, he was baby A and Maïwen was baby B. Kiran was always still. And even through ultrasound, Maïwen was always the one bouncing around in my stomach. One thing that we always try to teach our kids, more than a football player or a scientist like Maïwen is, it's being contributing adult in the society with values, with principles. So the values that my parents instilled in us, importance in school, trust in God, the importance of having your family around you and having a strong support system.
Having two parents from Africa, my mom from Cameroon, my dad from Togo, really helped me to kind of set my path and who I am as a person. They came here with nothing and trying to chase education, and they worked extremely hard. Everything that you want in life comes through hard work. Nothing will ever be given to you at all. Those are all things that you need to translate onto the football field.
Kiran has always wanted to play football. American football, not soccer.
I always said I know a lot about the real football, meaning soccer. I had no idea of what football was about. I was like, you using your hand to throw a ball. So to me, it was like, that's handball, that's not football.
My parents, coming from Africa, thought football was too violent for me to play. But, I loved football. I was a big Bears fan growing up. I was Devin Hester for Halloween when I was little, running around with him on Madden.
I didn't know anything, so I was like, yeah, I love Devin Hester too. We used to love to watch the games on the weekends. We just grew up Chicago sports fans in general. I think 8th grade, when he told me that he really wants to play, and he went and joined the team at his school. I
convinced them. Like I said, I loved football for, as long as I can remember, so it really was just kind of begging them, and they let me play finally.
Probably my most cherished memories here at the senior field were the times where I was on the sidelines and the offense would come off of just scoring a touchdown. He'd always come out and make sure to find me and celebrate with me.
If I were to pick a phrase to describe Kiran, I would think it's driven. I think he knows his goals and works towards those goals and is willing to put in the time and effort to get where he wants to go.
So one of the first times I saw Kiran, I was actually on the opposite sideline as a visiting coach. Pre-game warm-ups were going on and the Red Devil offensive line just happened to walk in front of me on the sideline. You saw just the size of them, and then the one player that stood out over the rest of them was Kiran.
When you see a 14, 15-year-old kid with the size that he had, most of the time, the thing they struggle with most is their athleticism, their ability to move their feet and kind of control their body. And while he had to grow as a football player in terms of like getting in a stance and doing more football related movements, footwork and that sort of thing wasn't the struggle.
Thankfully I had a basketball background, so I was always super athletic and kind of long, quick, twitchy. The transition wasn't as hard as I thought it would be.
Kiran playing multiple sports, I think, had a huge impact on his football career. Playing basketball and moving around, like kids his size don't go play tennis.
You transmit to your kids what your parent gave you. So my parent exposed me to a lot of sports. So when the kids were older, getting to an age where they were interested in sport, so we tried different things. They would go to martial art with me.
We both played basketball, we both played tennis.
Golf.
They did swimming.
Riding horses.
Soccer.
Doing ski.
And also we were both in hip-hop dance classes.
Indirectly, it works on everything that you need as an offensive lineman, your feet, your quickness, you know, being able to stay low, flexibility, like you got to be able to do that to kind of break it down on the dance floor.
That athleticism, that ability to be a big man, but also be able to move was what set him apart from having to play inside, which he could, but being able to play outside a tackle and move his feet and play, you know, be quick and use his arms and be able to pass protect the defensive end, and then being a big physical specimen that he was, being able then to lean on guys in the run game, push them, use his size, use that nastiness that he was beginning to develop his senior year.
You know, he was kind of a quieter kid, and then like there was one game as a senior where I remember him coming off the field after a touchdown and like going nuts and like screaming and getting his teammates excited, and like to kind of grow into like not being sure about football and whether or not that was something that he'd enjoy or want to be a part of, to like being all in and getting to a place where this was his sport.
Obviously every kid wants to play in the NFL when they grow up. It was my dream to play in the NFL, but I would say it turned into a goal for me when I got to college. I always looked at it as this kind of like far off thing, and when I kind of left high school, went to college, I was like, this is something I'm gonna work at, this is something I'm gonna do. So that's when it kind of transitioned for me from like, you know, just watching to watch to watching to pick stuff up so that I can apply to my own game.
For me, in my recruitment of Kiran, he was fairly new to the game of football. I really just saw in him, again, from a length and athleticism standpoint, like in my brain, there was no denying the fact that he was built like an NFL offensive tackle.
His very first recruiting call from Yale was an offer. When we went there, we were driving down the highway coming into New Haven. And then Kiran turned to me and he said, "Mom, I think this is where I want to be. I'm going to be happy here." All honesty, when he went to Yale, for me it was education. It wasn't so much football. For him, he was happy to go and play football, but the trade for me was to have a good education.
Education was big for me and my family growing up, coming from Africa, and I never thought that Ivy League would be something that I would be, you know, able to do one day, and I'm sure my parents never thought that one day, you know, either them or their kids were gonna go to an Ivy League school. But the big thing was that was always my plan B. I knew that when I got there, I wanted to pursue football. I kind of kept that one close to my chest just because of how I grew up. I didn't think it was gonna go over that well. I did end up sitting down and having a conversation with them and just said like, look, you know, school will always be something that I'll do to, you know, to get done what I have to get done, but what I'm chasing is something that I need to prioritize, and to me it's the greatest job on earth, so I'm gonna chase it and I'm gonna do everything I need to do to achieve it.
I just remember thinking back to his very first practice, I knew within the first individual drill we did that Kiran was different and Kiran was special. And I instantly thought, having my background in the Big Ten and at the University of Michigan prior to Yale, I said, this guy is a no-brainer starting offensive tackle in the Big Ten. Unfortunately for Kiran, his incoming freshman year was the fall of 2020. It was pretty intense around campus, man. The amount of restrictions and lockdowns, I mean, it was really tough on the whole athletic department and the football program and the student athletes. I mean, that first year kind of got robbed from them. That year was just all about development.
So here's a kid, graduated from high school, ready to go play football, and stuck to do team meetings and Zoom calls for 1 year and working out. People don't understand, like, he will have call at 8 p.m. with the coach. He has to take picture of what he's eating. He has to send the picture in. He has to do the workout. Everything was happening except the field and the in-person interaction during COVID. And he stuck to it. I was like, okay, if he survived that, this guy is gonna go to the NFL.
In my opinion, what made Kiran so special during this COVID time was how he attacked it and what his mindset and mentality were. And just to give a little context, in the Ivy League, there's no ability to redshirt. He said, Coach, yeah, this is a bad situation, but he said, you know what, I'm gonna turn this into a positive. For me, my mindset, my mentality is that I'm going to use this COVID year as my redshirt year.
You know, the NFL wasn't gonna wait for me just because of COVID. Life wasn't gonna stop because of COVID. I just kind of had to put that in my mind that you gotta keep putting in the work. The building blocks in place to set myself up to be successful as a college player, that set me up really well to, you know, come in my sophomore year and start right away.
There's always the critical factors that you can't teach or coach sometimes, and that's like guys that have elite length, you know, have the ability to sink their hips and things like that. And he was a great listener. I always use a phrase with those guys like, you know, Batman has a utility belt and things like that. He was a great guy who knew how to use his tools. And what he did well was he was naturally had a great get off, and he can strike people. What separates big guys like himself, big long guys, like his ability to sit his hips down. And he did a really good job with that.
Just kind of getting on the field in a college football setting was amazing. But then, you know, it quickly faded away, and it was like, okay, well, freshman year is over. We didn't achieve the things we wanted to as a team. I didn't achieve the things I wanted to as a player. How do I get better? And kind of went back in the weight room, back to the drawing board.
Plays multiple seasons, start to finish. It was a starter for each one of the seasons that he played, and was recognized first Ivy League, first team.
You know, my senior year, I want this to be my last season in college football. I'm ready to take the next step, and I'm going to do everything I need to be ready to play in the NFL.
With the 75th pick, the Chicago Bears select Kiran Amegadjie, tackle out of Yale.
Yeah, you can say it's a smart pick there out of Yale.
Draft day was amazing. We had all our family coming from all around the world. We had the king of our village came, which is very, very, very special.
One word is magical. Like, you know, getting the call was, I think I blacked out, honestly. All I remember was the phone flashing, and it flashed off, and I called the number back. I'm like, oh, please pick up. I thought I missed the call, and then they ended up calling me back, and it was Mr. Pulse.
Kiran is what the Bears needed. He has love for football. He has love for the Bears. It was a perfect combination. He's excited about what's about to happen. I think that he's eager to start the training camp because he sees other teammates on the field and he wants to be there.
I'm a football player. Like, that's who I am at the end of the day. That's my identity. You know, I wear that on my sleeve every single day. I'm a baller, I'm a dog. You know, a lot of times you hear that because I play in the Ivy League, that, you know, I'm more focused on finding a job and finding, you know, finding my next career move. This is what I want to do. I play football, and that's who I am. This has been what I want to do my whole life. I want to play in this league for as long as possible, and I want to be the best player in my position in the league, and I'm not going to stop until I do so.